Jim Carroll, Ralph Baber, psychology takeaway. Need a dose of the real, life's absurd, we know the deal. Did you hear? Don't let it get you down. Turn that frown upside down, upside down, 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 upside.
Hey, Ralph, how you doing today?
I'm doing well, Jim. How are you doing?
I'm doing fabulously. I'm just enjoying this tropical Michigan winter here.
Yes, very tropical. If you like the tropics that used to have ice age laid over them.
I am doing the best I can with winter. I'm trying to be jocular, trying to be happy, trying to be playful. And that's the theme of our show today,
Yes,
and maybe
yes.
for the next couple of weeks.
Now, one of the things, Jim, that's kind of interesting to me is when we were kids in Canada, after I got beyond the age of tobogganing, which kind of ended, I guess, 11, 12, something like that.
Well, yeah, and tobogganing probably in Canada ends, maybe June. Okay.
Yeah. We kind of looked around and said, tobogganing with your friends in wool overcoats is not fun anymore. So what do? How do we cope with winter?
Go to Florida?
Well, this was before snow machines.
Mm-hmm.
So skiing, either downhill or cross country, became the way to cope with winter. Now, for me, because I tended to ski downhill about 20% faster than my ability and crashed and burned a lot, I decided that was not a good thing.
I mean, crashing and burning?
Crashing and burning
Okay.
is not a good thing. So I took up cross-country skiing. And when I was in my 30s and teaching, I was in a particular place where there was a lot of stress on what I was doing. So I went back to cross-country skiing just to burn some of that off.
Okay.
And that was good.
Mm-hmm.
So that kept my body moving, kept me healthy, and kept the stress at bay.
Mm-hmm.
So, when we say we're coping with winter here, there are various ways of coping with winter in Michigan,
You mean other than hibernation?
other than hibernation. So snow machining is one.
Skiing is another.
Skiing is-
Snowboarding is another.
So
Fishing is another.
fishing,
I mean,
okay.
there's lots of things we can do outside.
Yeah.
And they all can sort of go into the bailiwick of, maybe play activities. I want to take our listeners back, a long time now, about 40 years back. I went to a conference in Vancouver, and it was the Healing Power of Play and Laughter conference. It was touted as the first international behavioral medicine conference. And the keynote speaker was a guy, and you can see more of this fellow if you go down to learn more underneath. He was Norman Cousins. Now, Norman Cousins was, in his 60s, I think. And he told the story of being diagnosed with a collagen disorder. That's a disorder of the connective tissue. His body was literally falling apart. It was very painful. And so he checked himself out of the hospital where he was getting worse, checked himself into the Waldorf Astoria Hotel. I guess he had some money. Yes, he did.
Yeah.
And started to watch funny videos. Now, this was back in the day before videos. They were great big films that his buddy Alan Funt supplied to him.
Okay.
And he said that if he could get a half an hour, he really liked the candid camera videos. So he said if he could get a half an hour of laughter, that would cause his pain to abate for maybe 2-3 hours. So a few minutes of laughter helped with his pain. Now, at the conference, there were a lot of people talking about the effects of play, laughter on physical health and mental health. So I was really paying attention to this. Now, there were a lot of other people talking about nutrition, eating better, watching substances that you imbibe, getting more exercise. Well, I didn't want to eat differently. I didn't want to get any different exercise. But I thought, maybe I could do something with this whole play notion.
Maybe you could.
I was doing a lot of research, but the research that I was doing was in the area of special education and needs of people, needs of kids, and needs of adults. And it was sort of stressful. And so I thought, well, okay, if I'm going to change my research focus, I better learn a little bit more about this stuff, this play and laughter, stuff. Meyer Friedman was at the conference. He was talking about type A behavior. That was the first time I think I'd heard of type A. In fact, it was one of the first times that he had talked about type A behavior. And so I thought, well, I'll learn more about it. So I flew back to Mount Pleasant, to Central Michigan University, and being an academic nerd, what do? Well, I go to the library, and I type in, or I guess maybe I talk to a librarian, do we have any books on humor, play and laughter, and the effects of humor on health? And the librarian looked at me like I had two heads and said, no, we don't have anything like that. But I looked around in the library, and lo and behold, I found this thing.
Okay.
Do you recognize this object, Ralph?
Well, that's a book.
A book, okay.
Yes. What an unusual thing to find in a library today.
Indeed. Nowadays, for sure. And the title of the book is Treatise on Laughter. Now, this was in 1981 that I had gone to the conference, and this had been translated in 1981. I could have read it in the original French, which would have taken me from 1981 to the present time. But I don't know if our viewers can see this. This is we're here. This is the author of the book. And if you can read it around the outside, he's the court physician to Louis XIV.
Okay.
So that puts him around 1778, 1779, before Louis loses his head.
He also looked very serious.
He did look serious, didn't he? I take humor seriously.
Yeah. And
so I started to read it. And it's an interesting book. Here's the table of contents, all the way down there. And there are little chapters, maybe, 2 or 3 page chapters. Is real laughter the same as, does it have the same effects as false laughter? That is, if I laugh just because I've been told, laugh, ha, 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 ha. Is that as good as really laughing at something that makes me laugh?
Yeah.
The answer, according to him, is yes, it is. Laughter is joyful. Why our face wrinkles when we laugh? How come tears come to our face? And why do we wet our pants when we laugh too much? So it's very interesting. Here's the dedication. The most excellent and virtuous Queen Marguerite of France, Queen Navarre, the king's daughter, and only sister and spouse. And then he goes on to say who he is. So the folks in Vancouver were taking humor seriously. And, this really sparked an interest. And so for the next 10 years, I did a lot of research on humor. I looked at humor style. I looked at gender differences in humor. I looked at whether or not humor was associated with positive mental health or positive physical health. And I found, much to my surprise, that most people weren't interested.
Yeah, and one of the things, Jim, that we go back to the 1780s, and we find one of the first guys who's writing about humor and laughter, and he says that if you laugh because you've been told to laugh, or you laugh because somebody's told you a really, really funny joke, there's no difference.
Yep.
Well, that turns out, in subsequent to 1981 in your research, to be true.
Yeah. False laughter, or just laughter, is, I tell you to laugh, Ralph, and you go, ha, 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 ha. Yeah. And that's good. Like Norman Cousins said, it relieves pain for a while. And there are three, I think, things that I posted under Learn More. There's an interview with Norman Cousins. It's kind of a long one. It's an hour and 40 minutes. But if you have not heard of this guy, he was a real type A publisher in New York City. I mean, every week he had to publish a magazine, get a new copy out every week, and he was stressed to the max. And he talks about it in his book, Anatomy of an Illness, as from the point of view of the patient. Anyhow, you can see him in the video, and he doesn't look stressed. And when he was at the conference, he said, let's see, I got a diagnosis in 1965 that I had about, maybe 6 months to live. And I looked at this guy who was, talking to this conference full of people. And
In 1981.
in 1980, he sure didn't look dead to me. Looked pretty good, as a matter of fact. Yeah. So he began to share that, for him, it was the laughter. Now, remember I said he got the videos or the kinescopes from Alan Funt. Now, Alan Funt, I think we can find him on YouTube, and Funt says, I don't think laughter is all that therapeutic. I think we laugh at people. Yeah, we do. And then he says, I don't think that's therapeutic. And that actually was something that I found, that there are a couple different kinds of laughter. There's laughter that includes people, that's kind of funny, that's jocular. And then there's what I would refer to as toxic laughter.
Okay, so for example, if you go to a social gathering of some kind with a spouse, and your spouse says in front of 50 people, this is my husband, he's a klutz.
Just kidding.
Just kidding.
Yeah, that's toxic.
That's toxic.
Yeah, and it could be
And
more than that, but yeah.
the person who heard he or she is a klutz doesn't see very much funny in that. They're injured before even, I'm just kidding.
Yep. And one of the things that I'm working on right now, Ralph, is a book on play and laughter. I'd put it away, put the whole concept of play and laughter away, around 1990 or so, when I started really to get into creativity. And just recently, I kind of dusted the stuff off, and I've gone back to do research. And the stuff that they were talking about that was brand new and cutting edge in 1981 is now out there, and it's pretty much front and center in the behavioral medicine arena. We know that some humor is good, some humor is bad, but that it does have an effect on our brain, that laughter. When we got our coffee this morning, we talked to the manager of the station where we get coffee, and we said, okay, we're going to give you a 10-second health pickup here. And so we got her and her associate to start to
Fake laughter.
Fake laughter. The associate was doing very well, I thought.
Yeah.
Yeah. The manager maybe needs a little bit more help with fake laughter. But anyhow, after 10 seconds, I said, okay, now, how do you feel? Oh, pretty good. Okay, well, that's what...
Better than I did.
Yeah. And that's what Cousins was, talking about, also.
Yeah. Now, one of the things that a lot of our viewers may know, because it's more contemporary than Norman Cousins, is Patch Adams.
Yeah. Hey, we're going to do a show on Patch Adams.
Yes.
We'll get a red nose show, okay?
Yep.
All right.
And
watch for that.
Watch for that. And, Patch Adams healed a lot of young children by introducing
Clowning around.
clowning around.
Yeah.
And, you can see that movie. It's widely available. You can get it on streaming, I'm sure. And if you haven't seen it,
Yeah.
it'll make you laugh.
It will. And there is actually a Patch Adams Day, a National Patch Adams Day. So we will celebrate that day, and we'll come in with our red noses, okay?
Okay.
All right.
I shall begin drinking heavily now to get a red nose for that.
Thank you, WC. It's a WC Fields joke, I can tell you that. Yeah. So you did a little bit of research on play, Ralph.
Yeah, I did. And one of the things that are examples of adult play. So creative hobbies, painting, playing instruments, that sort of thing. Now, one of the things that we'll get into in a minute is kinds of people who like play. But social games, board games, card games, physical activities, sports, hiking, walking, etc.
So this is a real broad definition of play.
Yeah.
Just because, I don't think of hiking as play. I think hiking is hiking in nature, but it's...
If you're a kineticist, if you
like body movements.
But if you like body movements,
Mm-hmm.
now let's go into the types. Jokers.
Yeah, that's you, I can tell.
That's me.
Mm-hmm.
The kineticist who
Likes body.
physical activity.
A kineticist might like to be a mime.
Yeah.
The rest of us probably don't like mimes. Okay.
Well, always remember that a mime is a terrible thing to waste. So the explorer.
Mm-hmm. So humor that pushes
Play that, I'm going to a new place.
Okay.
So Italy is going to be entirely new for me. I've never been there, and I'm going to go to blah, 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 blah.
Okay. Are
And
you really going to go to Italy?
Don't I wish?
Okay. But,
The competitor.
okay, competition. Now, that could get into the area of what I would call toxic play.
Yeah.
If you're really, really intent on winning at all costs,
Yeah.
so.
So the thing is that, every game has rules.
Mm-hmm.
Some people will say, as you play, one of the rules for bridge, for example, is if you have in your hand a 3, a king, and an ace, don't put the ace down first. You want to keep that back so you can sandbag somebody by throwing the ace to win.
Uh-huh.
Put the 3 down first.
Okay.
So if you play the wrong thing and you've got the wrong type of person that you're playing with, they will excoriate you and yell at you and tell you what a Dummkopf you are. And
I understand you know this from experience,
yes,
right, Ralph? Okay.
yes.
Your checkered career as a bridge player. Yeah. You are not making any money as a professional bridge player these days, are you?
no,
Yeah, okay.
not even a dedicated amateur.
Uh-huh. Now, you've given us, 3 or 4 different kinds of play. Do you have others on your list?
The director who likes planning and organizing.
Okay.
So, for example, I have a friend who actually, I have 3 friends who really, really like to cook.
Okay.
So if somebody was a director, they might say, I'm going to take A, B, and C, and I know D and E. I'm going to take those 5 people. They're going to come over to my place at 3 in the afternoon, and we're going to get together and cooperatively we'll cook a wonderful meal.
Okay.
Now, for the cooks,
Hey.
that's play.
Mm-hmm.
For the director, that organization of the thing is the
Okay.
play in itself. So, you can derive play in a couple of ways.
Yeah. Well, suppose the director has invited your wife to this play activity. Now, you've told me before that Karen really doesn't like to cook, right?
She is not by any means a volunteer chef.
Yeah. So, what is playful for one person might not be playful for another. In fact, it might even be stressful for the other person.
Yes. Now, if you said to Karen, we're going to get together and cook this meal, and it's going to be ready at 6:00. We want you to come at 5:30, have a glass of wine, and then sit at the table with us and enjoy the fruits of our labor. Man, that would be great for her. Because while she doesn't
Like to
Like-
cook, she
like-
likes to eat.
she likes to eat. Now, not to the point where she's overweight or anything like that, I hasten to add, but just she really enjoys good food.
Good food, yeah. So, I once wrote an article on using humor in psychotherapy. And one of the things I said in the article is that, and maybe I stole it from someone, I don't know, is that if you use humor in psychotherapy with a client, use it at your own risk, because it's a little bit like riding a bicycle without any brakes or driving a car without any brakes. What you think might be an amusing kind of antidote might go over really badly with your client. Well, that's especially if you don't know your client. Or I can remember one time I did a roast, not the kind you eat, but the kind of roast, like roasting a person. Somebody was retiring from the department, Jerry Fuller. And so I wrote a letter, and very sardonic, and I read it at his retirement. And it was pretty funny. Everybody laughed, including Jerry. The person who laughed the most was my secretary. She thought it was just hilarious. So a year or so later, she retired. And someone said, why don't you do a letter for your secretary, like you did for Jerry? So I said, sure. So I did this same kind of letter, the one that she laughed her head off with a couple of years before. She did not like it at all. She was really, really upset. So, I thought I had known Rose, pretty well, and what she liked and didn't like, but I really misjudged her
Yeah.
in terms of her response to this particular quote joke letter.
Yeah. And, the thing with that, Jim, I think is sometimes you don't know, even though you know a person reasonably well, you don't know their pressure points.
Mm-hmm.
And so you say something that you think is mildly humorous, not intended to hurt at all.
Mm-hmm.
And the person looks at you with a fake smile and says to themselves, I am deeply wounded.
Kind of like the example you gave, a little while ago.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And, the thing is that Will Rogers, a well-known American humorist, somebody said to him, what do you think of people you meet in your travels as a humorist? And he said, I never met a man I didn't like. Now, think about that. Was he serious? Or was that a sardonic insult?
Huh. I'll have to think about that. I always took that one as at face value, that he liked everybody.
Well, I
You never
think
met
I
a
think
man
by
who-
and large he did like everybody, but I think there were people that he liked, well, as Orwell said, all pigs is equal, but some pigs are more equal than others. You know,
Could
I
well
think
be.
there are people that he liked a little more than other people.
Well, could well be. I have another book here, Ralph,
Okay,
just for fun, right in here. Books, what a concept, right?
right.
Yeah. This one is Shakespeare and Laughter. Now, I just got this checked out of the library, and I see that it was checked out first in 2013, and it looks like I'm the last person to check it out in 2026. So there have been two of us who have checked this out.
Only two.
Only two. So
That's what Noah kept saying to the animals.
only two.
Only two, yeah.
Yeah. I once presented a paper in Canada at the International Humor Conference. It was in Niagara Falls. I think that's where the event was, and the somebody at the Toronto Star or Globe and Mail got word of the fact that there was going to be, an international humor conference just a mere 75, 80 miles away. So they came to the conference, and there was a social hour, after the conference day had ended, before dinner, that kind of thing. So I was talking to this writer, this reporter, and he said, this humor conference is the least funny place I've ever been in my life. I said, yeah, we all take humor really seriously here. And he shook his head and had another beer. But, for a good 10 years, I took humor very seriously also. I did research, I published. I saw that if you, we talked about if you laugh, something happens. Well, I'd put electrodes on people's head and had them listen to funny stories, and you could see the brain activity going from to kind of a relaxing response.
Okay.
At
Which is a good, healthy thing.
yeah, at CMU we don't have any imaging equipment. We just the EEG was the best I had at the time. But people who have put researchers who have put people into an MRI can actually see the same kind of thing. The brain's slowing down, and they can begin to read the kind of chemicals going into the body, stuff like serotonin, dopamine, reduction in cortisol, and we've found over the years that all of those things are associated with good health. And I found in one piece of research several dimensions that were of humor that were associated with good health, and there were differences between the way men perceive humor and the way women perceive humor. Women get a good health response from what I would call kind of frivolous humor. Back in the day, that would be Lucille Ball type humor.
Okay.
And men would get a negative response to what I would call dark humor. Now, back in the day, that would be Andrew Dice Clay kind of humor. In one of his sketches, he talks about going to the ATM machine and raping a woman, and that was supposed to be humorous.
Nothing funny in that.
Nothing funny there. Yeah. So that kind of humor for men was seen as associated with poor health.
Yeah.
And the strongest one for women, and kind of goes back to what you said earlier, the strongest was actually kind of toxic humor, and that was humor that put down men.
Okay.
Now,
That in 2026, that still might be the thing that women find funniest.
could be, I don't know. Well, it's hard to say. I've stayed away from, I stay away from media as much as I can, like, television. I'll watch the Super Bowl, I suppose. But I went to an old episode. Actually, it was last weekend's episode of Saturday Night Live.
Okay.
And I was amazed at how hostile the humor was there.
Yeah.
And we've talked about people, getting a lot of stuff from social media, but just, the mainstream media is harmful and hurtful, I think.
Yeah. And the thing is that it doesn't matter, I think, which political side you're on. Whichever program takes a political side in mainstream media, they are very cruel with what they think of as jokes,
Mm-hmm.
And so you say, well, just to pick an example, Stephen Colbert, he's really funny. Yeah, except he's also sometimes very cruel,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And so you say, well, is that good, healthy humor, or is that verging on or crossing over the line to toxic humor?
Yeah, I'd put it into the toxic myself.
Yeah.
I saw some people, or heard some people, having some humorous responses to the kidnapping of the mother of this host
Yeah.
on ABC, CBS, something like that.
Yeah, ABC, and her mother disappeared, and now apparently there's a ransom note.
Yeah,
And
and people have been using that as humor. I can't see that myself.
no, perhaps if it had been her mother-in-law.
Well,
No, sorry, toxic humor there crept in. But here's the thing that I think people today will take tragic or almost tragic events and try to make them appear funny.
mm-hmm.
And it used to be that something like
There were some things that were sacred.
yeah.
Yeah,
And so, if your mother was kidnapped, nobody would make a joke about it.
right.
Now, if your mother ran away with the handsome gardener, maybe people would make a joke about it. But, until they knew, it wasn't touchable.
Well, on that note, Ralph, we will say adieu to our audience.
And remember, keep laughing, even if you have to force it.
Yep. Fake it till you make it.
Indeed.
Okay, until next time, this is Jim
And Ralph,
saying keep your stick on the ice
because we're all in this
together.